Can you imagine living in a world where success could actually be learned from others? What if you didn't have to make those vital mistakes that cost you time, energy, and money? What if you could get that guidance from your parents? Would you listen? One of my favorite sayings my father used to always say to me was, a wise person spends their time learning from other people's mistakes rather than spending their time making their own. You can do it the easy way, or you can do it the hard way, but the choice is yours. I remember growing up, listening to my parents and thinking that they were so smart. I mean, they were so smart. And then I got to that stage where they were so out of touch with this world that I did not listen to a thing that they said. But then growing up a little bit more, I realized their wisdom and knowledge that they had and how incredibly smart they were. And to this day, I try to learn from them and honestly try to emulate their lives. I always say, you can learn something from anyone if you try. You can learn something from anyone if you try. And recently I realized I've actually learned a lot from my father, who passed away at age 58 from cancer. Always have a positive attitude. On that dreadful day, when my father got the diagnosis that he had stage 4 lung cancer and less than 6 months to live, he made a choice. Now, I'm sure all of us would completely understand if he got upset, angry, or depressed. But guess what? He didn't. Instead, he decided to accept the disease, but to fight it. He never gave in to woe is me and that cancer was his fate. To be honest, sometimes he didn't even acknowledge that he had cancer. His optimism was truly uncanny, and at times our family thought he might have been in denial. But it wasn't until after he passed away I realized the true power of his thinking. Instead of projecting that negative future ahead of him, he was projecting the positive future that he wanted so incredibly desperately. Although the doctors gave him 6 months to live, my father lasted a little over 3 years. And I attribute his positive attitude to projecting him forward instead of cutting his future short. The second thing my father taught me was to always continue your education. I remember growing up and watching my father as he went off to different classes on farming techniques, learning how to use a computer, the newest GPS system. He was always trying to improve and grow himself, as well as trying to improve and grow his business. His enthusiasm for learning was contagious. Once he got the diagnosis of cancer, he started educating himself on the different things that he could do to help his body fight harder. He wasn't giving up. He wanted to fight. So exercise and eating right was never important to my father. It was never important. But as soon as he realized that he could start exercising and eating right, and that might help his body become stronger and fight harder, it became a vital necessity to his day-to-day life. To this day, I know and realize the importance of always continuing your education and learning how to improve yourself. The last lesson my father taught me was to never give up. At age 58, and with doctors telling him that the time was here, he needed to get his final affairs in order, my father never gave up. He never gave in to his demise, and he never stopped fighting. never stopped fighting. My father fought until the very last few days. And this is an important lesson for all of us to learn. Never give up on your dreams, and never give up on you. If I would have given up the first time I failed a test, I wouldn't have graduated high school, let alone college. So seeing my father constantly fight to stay alive reminds me that even when I get tired and I want to give up, I need to continue growing, learning, and sometimes even fighting for the things that I want. Having a positive attitude, continuing your education, and never giving up are 3 lessons that I learned from my father. I encourage each and every one of you to take a few moments and reflect upon the lessons that you can learn from your parents, and also the lessons that you would like to impart on others. At the end of the day, each and every one of us have the opportunity to choose how we live and from whom we learn from. I took the time to learn a few lessons from my father. I wonder what lessons you can learn from your parents. This is Reflections of a Daughter. Bella Toastmaster.